All right. Our former Halifax mayor, when he was the CAO in Charlottetown, was terminated, fired from his duties because Charlottetown Regional Council put him to a vote of 8-3, I believe it was in vote in favor of the termination of their CAO and our former Halifax mayor, Peter Kelly. My concern is people seeing all the warning signs that Peter Kelly was anything but what he says he is. What I mean by that, what did Peter Kelly do for our community that made it progress with all the other cities? Our Halifax community is struggling. We're on the eve of another Great Depression. Gas prices are soaring. People are having a hard time of adapting because they don't know how to stop driving these great big SUVs, these great big pickup trucks. The law is literally written out. It's okay for the politicians to steal money, to scam everybody, but Jesus Christ, don't you people from the community do it. And that's exactly what's going on. Now, Peter Kelly, when he first ran for office in 2000, he ran up against Walter Fitzgerald and he beat him successfully. But during Peter Kelly's run for mayor, he never really had any strong competition against him at all. He never did. What I mean by that is Peter Kelly always had these nobodies that would run up against him. He would have these people that would run, nobody knew who they were, and that was like that for Peter Kelly from the year 2004 right to 2012 when he decided not to run, because he was going to run in 2012 and he decided to back out because he just found out that Mike Savage was going to offer his name to run for mayor. And Peter Kelly was down in the numbers, and because of that, he decided not to reoffer. And often politicians, when they know that they're not up in the numbers and they're not doing too well in the numbers, they often say, I'm not going to reoffer my services. They often say that because they know that they're not going to win. Other words, they're a coward. They never had a strong competition. And not only that, Peter Kelly is not the only one that does that. Now, my concern is, I asked a question. Why was not the police, RCMP, the Charlottetown police, the Halifax police, not ever putting Peter Kelly's expenses under investigation? Why was Peter Kelly never placed under arrest? Why did the police never put him in handcuffs? For starters, he knew what he was doing. He knew how to stay off the radar, and he knew how to stay out of the criminal justice system, because he's going to steal any money, which he did when he was the CAO out in Alberta. He knew what he was doing. But I would like to have his expenses investigated. I would like to see the Auditor General from Charlottetown and here in Halifax and out in Alberta do an expense review on his expenses. Because, see, here's the thing. When somebody steals, all right, we'll try it the first time. Then they'll try to do it a second time. And each time when they steal, they get more brazen. Each time when they steal, they get more braver. Then they get more gullible. Let's take more money. And over time, it becomes a sickness. They get used to it. And that's what's wrong. The best way how to avoid this sickness of stealing is by not starting at all. And the reason why, how Peter Kelly got elected as long as he did as mayor for Halifax was because of, like I said before, stupid people. There's more stupid people here in Nova Scotia and here in Halifax than there is smart people. He knows that. And I'm going to ask David Hinsey, my town councillor, and I'm going to ask Mayor Mike Savage and the clerk's office. We do not want Peter Kelly not only as our CAO, we don't want him back as our Halifax mayor, and we don't want him back on the regional council. I did a little survey poll there on Facebook, on Porter's Lake Community News' Facebook group and on their Facebook page. And then I went on the City of Halifax Regional Council's Facebook page. I asked, do you support Peter Kelly as mayor if he was to return to run for mayor again here in Halifax? And then I said, would you support Peter Kelly as being the CAO here in Halifax? And all your responses was a big, large downslide no in strong words and strong. You couldn't describe it any better. And I hope Councillor David Hensby, Mike Savage, our clerk's office, Councillors Austin, all the council members on regional council, seen that, heard your voice, because your voice is what's final here in our region. Our voice is what's at risk now because we're getting more conmen, more convicts running for office that shouldn't be there in the first place than we are good people. The problem is when politicians run for office, for the nominations or for whatever, they often claim, oh, I'm a great guy, I go to church every Sunday, by God, I do everything for the good of the people. And then they go on that I never broke the law before in my life. We all broke the law at some point in our lives, either speeding, anything, littering, anything. I mean, if you're doing something big, gullible, like robbing the bank, or you're going to go across the street, punch somebody across the face because they looked at you the wrong way, yeah, those are big offenses. But our politicians are very good at covering up the wrongdoing. We all committed a crime at one point or another. We all broke the law at one point or another. But when you lie about it, when you be something what you're not, that's a concern. So I ask you people at home, call your local councillor, call your local mayor, and call your clerk's office at Halifax City Hall and voice your voice. Say, no, we do not want Peter Kelly as our CAO of Halifax Regional Council, and no, we do not want him to run as mayor of Halifax anymore. Have your say, enforce your voice, and don't let a con man go back in your mayor's office.